So we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects that came in that we can fund. We had originally said that we were going to try to do a maximum award of 75,000 so we could get the bang for the buck. The problem is leaving it at 75,000, we're going to leave funds on the table. I had reached out to Nathan with Central ODOT and talked to him about changing our plan, the work plan that we'd submitted, and saying instead of doing a maximum eligible cost of 75,000, bumping that up so that we could spend all of the funds. Most of the projects needed a little more. City of Logan had called me and said that, hey, actually their projects was going to come in a little less and they only needed 50,000. So we left them at 50,000. And then the Village of Racine needed 82,000. So if there's 2 options that we have, and let me do this. Let me pull this up. Can I find the button to share screen? Yes. Can you guys see the Excel spreadsheet I have up?
I don't see anything.
Now can you?
Got it.
Yes. Okay. So in column G right here, you'll see original request. Then if we leave it as originally it's stated, except for this one that has the wrong amount, you'll see that we wouldn't spend the full amount of the 407. The second option would allow us to spend the full amounts, leaving the 2 projects. We would bump up the Village of Racine just a little bit to 82, and we would move the last 3 projects to 91,727 to spend the full 407,262. And I know that's something we talked about. We're going to look at that every round that we do to see what we want to do with the funding amount and capping it. So if you guys are okay, I want to know your opinions and thoughts. Would you rather stick with option 1 and leave it as is and leave money on the table? If we leave the money, we can move it to the next round. I personally would like to see us spend all of the funds and be able to show that we can spend it.
I mean, I would agree with that on my end. I don't know that we're going to see future rounds. We may all be broke before we get another year in our belt.
I know, and I'd like to see these projects get as much as we can to be able to help and support them, because they're still going to have to put in matching funds for the rest of it. This will just help with the engineering costs, get them up and get them started. Oh, there's Andy. Let me admit him. Good morning, Andy.
Hey, sorry for my delay to get on here.
That's okay. Let me catch you up real quick. So we received the projects that you can see on the screen right now for the round 1 of projects. We had the original requests are there of what they had asked for funding. We had originally said we were going to do a maximum of $75,000. However, that leaves us with a balance of funds, which we can carry over. I talked to Nathan at ODOT, we can increase the amount instead of leaving it at the 75. So the Village of Racine had requested 82, so we bump them up to that. The City of Logan called, they only need 50,000, so we would leave them at 50. And then if I just bump the other 3 up with the remaining funds to around 91,000, we could spend all of the funds for this round.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know your opinions, if you would rather stay with the 75,000 or bump the projects up, giving them a little additional funding to move the engineering.
Purely selfishly, I would say option 2, because the city of Athens would benefit by about $16,000. At the end of the day, that's not that's not going to make or break our project, but it would be nice. I don't want to. I know we're not voting, but if we were to vote, maybe it would not be appropriate for me to vote. But I would contend option 2 is the way to go, so we can maximize the funds, since only those 5 projects are eligible anyway.
And Steve had mentioned the same thing when we were talking about it, that yeah, option 2 is probably the best way to go. We can spend the funds, show that we can spend the funds. And then the next round, we can have more discussions about what things we want to change. And if we want to open it up to some other projects, but that's for the next round. So we will go with
Melissa,
option.
What if one of these projects, the need falls below what we're granting? are they allowed to shift? Would they be allowed to shift it to one of the other partners?
That I don't know. We'll have to have a conversation. And I'm assuming, Eric, that'll probably be a conversation with you guys,
Yeah.
because the funds will go and run through your programs.
This is FY23 money, correct?
Yeah. So we will make the change on the projects.
Yeah, I would certainly think we could do that.
Okay. And then I just wanted to touch base with you all. I'm going to stop sharing that screen now. We're getting ready to submit. We submitted the work plan. You guys were okay with that. I just wanted to let you know that we had submitted the first part, and now we're going to submit the final one. Total work categories are 166,000. And let me do that. Save. And I'm going to share again. So you guys can see it. For number 2, for the RTO work plan, there are the categories listed from 601 to 665 of projects that we're going to be working on and services being provided. Then on the second page, we give the budget summary of categories and expenses. So that's what the next round, the next year is going to look like for us and what projects we're going to be working on and how the money will be spent. And it is a step round. So I've started talking to central office again because there'll be the next round of projects coming out and we'll be doing some meetings. So I'll be calling you all to schedule some things coming up in the fall, I believe is the way it's going to work. I'm just waiting to get some more details from them on that. So really that is what I have. If you guys have questions, please feel free to ask. And if not, I appreciate you all for coming and I appreciate this 6 months. Well, it's not quite 6 months, but it's going really fast. But I really appreciate you guys hanging in with me and helping me get this stuff through and working with me. And I'll be reaching out to you again with some more plans coming up and projects.
Do you have like notice of timeline for notice of award for these 5 projects?
So I will get this ready. It will go before the Buckeye Hills board next Friday for their final approval. Then we will send it to Central, and then Central will be reaching out to the local districts from what I've been told, and then start getting it programmed through and then having a conversation with them. I will also reach out when I send it to Central to find out if I can go ahead and send out notification to them, to the projects, or how that needs to work.
Andy, you guys are going to need, without question, you're going to need that full, what you asked for, 140 some for your design costs.
Yeah. So, the project that we're doing, we got $1 million in TAP, but I'm sure that the project will be a couple $1 million in construction. So, by the time design, is fully, and I don't know, I have to go back and talk to the team about, do I have the proposal from them? We're still kind of in the full scope phase for, any other changes. We just have a study that just came back on bidirectional, a switch to bidirectional traffic on a couple streets in conjunction with the transportation alternatives improvements on the cross streets. So yeah, we're gonna use all of that. That's for sure.
I just know that the phase 4 Middle Fourth Pomeroy Trail, their proposal with consultant is favorable, and so I could see that project potentially. You bumped it to 91. That original number that they requested may be high. The 91 may even be high. So that's why I'll get a quick answer on. I'm almost certain. I mean, those funds, until they're encumbered, I would think we could go ahead and shift to another partner if we need to. So, but I'll get some clarity on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I thank you all for taking the time today and have a good holiday weekend and be safe.